I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
And this is Tom MacDonald.
People so stupid.
I don't know who Tom MacDonald is.
This is for Randy.
Randy? Mm-hmm. Our Randy?
Can't say that name.
Oh, this is Middle America Randy. Okay, so this is going to be a political song, I'm sure. Speaking of politics, for timely topical political commentary, you can hit us up at Middle America with Vin and Sori. And there are multiple ways to get your song reviewed. My favorite is a community option. $1 to gets you in your Patreon, and you get to join these amazing alliances over there on Patreon. Amazing alliances for all. And then, you know, it's like there's a black metal alliance, there's an extreme metal alliance, yada, yada, yada. You pull your points together, that determines what song we use. If you're a filthy capitalist, like I know Sori and I definitely know Randy is, then 125 gets you straight to the head of the line, and you do that 3 times, and you get bumped down to the $75 rate. Mm-hmm. So, this guy looks freaky.
Very interesting.
Yeah,
That's
looks like Tekashi 6ix9ine.
All right, ready?
Okay, people so stupid, let's go.
Hi! I'm praying that the world changes soon. Can get a doobie on a plane, but there's Uzis in our schools. Every dude who touched a boob or a booty getting me too. What you expect from the kids who went to Hooters after school? We're all triggered and defensive. We're all racist and we're sexist. We all grew up watching South Park. How are we offended? Now being fat is beautiful. Name a thing that you can't do. Jumping jacks, run a mile, live past 42. Man, it used to be cool to just flip a bird to the system, and now it's trendy to be triggered and pretend you're a victim. It's my race, it's my weight, it's because I'm a Christian. I hate the internet and anyone who has an opinion. And everybody angry if you say white. Okay, fine. Pass me the brush and I'll paint my face to the shades right. Let's talk about abortion. Sorry, tell me how this works. Bacteria is life on Mars, but a heartbeat isn't life on Earth? Weird.
Y'all so stupid. Why are y'all so stupid? Get better problems, I swear to God that y'all want them. Y'all so dumb. People so stupid. People so dumb. People so boo-hoo, wah, wah, wah. Get better issues, we're gonna run out of tissues. It's so dumb.
I'm a hater cause I can't relate to gay pride. Call me homophobic because I don't wanna date guys. K-tight. I for one am not surprised the world declined along the way. Give trophies to children for losing just cause they decide to play. We exercise our right to vote and hate the politicians. Ay, this is a democracy, it's partly your decision. Ay, this is weird, feels like this a different year. If I identify as a female, then when my balls and penis disappear. Children want a gender switch and hating men is feminist. Depression and anxiety are trendy, we're too sensitive. Invented 80 genders, mad the world is not accepting it. Then gave them more attention than normal women and men can get. What a contradiction, being human is so tragic. Focus on minorities, ignoring all the masses. Hallelujah, everyone. Activism saved the planet. No more plastic straws and paper, just paper straws wrapped in plastic. Congratulations.
Y'all so stupid. Why are y'all so stupid? Get better problems, I swear to God that y'all want them. Y'all so dumb. People so stupid. People so dumb. People so boo-hoo, wah, wah, wah. Get better issues, we're gonna run out of tissues. It's so dumb.
Look, I get it, it's like the world is going crazy. Seems like a school shooting happens almost daily. The racism, rape culture, hatred that we're facing is way too ingrained for our hashtags to change it. We've become so lazy and complacent, afraid of our generation. We think activism's Instagramming memes and complaining. It's a problem when there's actually actions you could be taking, but you're triggered, so you just cry like a baby.
Y'all so stupid. Why are y'all so stupid? Get better problems, I swear to God that y'all want them. Y'all so dumb. People so stupid. People so dumb. People so boo-hoo, wah, wah, wah. Get better issues, we're gonna run out of tissues. It's so dumb.
I love this guy. Oh my gosh.
We gotta interview this guy.
Oh, that is great.
He went out for everybody.
So, I have to pull up the lyrics. I actually understood quite a bit of it.
Lyrics are right here. Dumbo.
Yeah, I know, but I don't like yours because we've said this before. You just scroll around. I'm just like, I liked everything about the song, but I feel like there might have been something really horrible that I missed. Okay. The intro, hi. I'm praying that the world changes soon. You can't get a doobie on a plane, but there's, what's this? Uzis?
Yeah.
Is this in our school? What is that?
An Uzi's a gun, you know that.
Oh, okay.
Why are you so stupid?
Every dude who ever touched a boob or a booty get me too.
Me too.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it depends. I do think that there are times when, you know, somebody was like decided afterward they wish that they wouldn't have done that, and then they want to make it look like something that it was. But I do think that there are lots of times where people were getting away with stuff.
I think was it Aziz Ansari, where he brought the girl back from his to his hotel room or whatnot.
Oh yeah, the comedian.
And then you know, like, she was like, oh, I don't want to do anything, yada yada yada, and then he's like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, no problem. And then he just said, all right, well, you know, you can go home. And she blasted him in the whole Me Too thing, like he did. Like, it's like, what did he do to you? Like, what do you like? So some of it like went overboard, but you know, it happens every time there's a movement for anything. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like people end up, you know, jumping on the bandwagon or whatever. But I mean, I thought the Me Too thing was a legitimate movement in the sense that you get all these people that be like, oh, we can't do anything now. Like, I'm not gonna do anything with work and blah. Like, I've been in the corporate world for many years, and I've not had one sexual harassment thing ever filed against me. Ever.
No, but there's been a lot of times where you could have filed against other people.
Well, yeah, there's been a lot of times when I could have filed against a couple girls, but you know, I've had girls in my office, I've had girls in my car, I've had them explain some very intimate details about their life and things like that, and not once had that ever happened. So when people were saying that, I was like, you know, like, and it's a really crazy thing, like, for all of the, I'm not a fan of Obama, but if I would be shocked if there was like a Me Too thing for Obama. Like, that would blow me away. Would it blow you away, like, with Obama? I'd be like, oh, shit.
I'd be surprised.
Yeah, that's what
surprised. But the other thing, too,
but, like, would you be surprised if there was a Me Too thing against Trump?
Of course not.
See what I'm saying? So, like, when dudes were complaining about that, I was always like, that's suspect. You're suspect.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, when you, like, the way that you engage women, like, you're literally not, I hate the phrase, but you're literally not trying to get into their pants. Like, you're talking to them as a person, and you're trying to hear what they have to say as a person. And so, like, I don't know what it is, but people think that women can't tell the difference, and we can. It's very obvious when a guy is after that, or if he's just trying to get you in a certain situations. It's obvious. So when you're around, like, you were the first person I had ever been around, the first person that I can remember ever being around that I didn't feel like either wanted to get in some sexual situation with me or was like a guy that, like, there are some people that were like, you felt like they were on pins and needles because they probably like wanted, but they never wanted to be doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where you were neither of those. Like, you were just my friend. This is obviously before we got married.
Oh, inshallah, we're still friends.
Yes, but I'm saying you didn't want anything from me before, like, like that. But we have children now, so obviously things have changed.
That doesn't mean that I wanted anything.
Oh, that is such a bull. You want me to pull up that?
That's the black man in distress thing.
Anyway, the lighting is weird in that corner because there's no sun. But anyway, so I think, you know, women can tell. So, but then he says, look, we're all triggered. Whoa, wait a minute. What did you expect from kids who went to Hooters after school? But he's right in the sense of, like, okay, so you don't want women to be objectified, but then you have a whole restaurant that you call Hooters, and it's all, you know what I mean? Like,
well, I think that the trigger thing works with both groups of people. Mm-hmm. Like, the stereotype is that right-wingers are like, you know, they're man's men and they're all alpha males and it's a bunch of leftist liberals who get triggered. But every time I shoot an MA video that criticizes Trump, the right-wingers get equally as triggered. They're equally as defensive.
You're booing.
Yeah, they're equally as defensive. They whine. They cry and whine just as much as leftists do.
Yeah.
But that statement is really interesting. We all grew up watching South Park. How are we offended? It's true.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, like, in high school, people talk about South Park, and I'd be like, "Yo, man," blah. It's like,
it really is true.
yeah, it's a crazy thing, like, but you know, social media exacerbates everything, and then it'll be like, oh, this person said this, and nobody ever looks at context. So it's like, oh, they said it. And I read some stat was like, you know, 75% of Facebook users just look at the title in a news, you know, thing. They don't actually click on it and read it and go to verify it. You know what I mean? So you can say whatever you want. People are like completely triggered. And of course, the term triggered.
If I'm gonna say anything about the topic, then I'm clicking on it to read.
The term triggered is an actual term that's about people who have post-traumatic stress disorder. And so, you know, the guy who just came back from Vietnam, and then 4th of July happens, hears the fireworks, and he gets under the table. Like, so the term triggered is an actual real word for people who are engaged, who have survived trauma. So when everybody's, quote, getting triggered nowadays, it's like used as mockery, but I'm not particularly certain that all of us are not traumatized. That's why I tell people, like, stop watching these videos where people end up dying on camera. Because watching somebody die is an extremely traumatic event. I'm not talking about like 84 years old and you've had your course around the earth and it's time for you to go to the A and so. I'm talking about somebody got gunned down or some shit like that. Like, you know, like I was watching these, this Chicago rapper has a vlog and his girlfriend has a vlog, and this dude is a killer. He's killed like 2 people. And he beat both the charges, but, you know, the guy's an absolute killer. So in Chicago, like, if you've killed people, like, dudes are coming at you. So they were shopping, and, like, you know, when they went to eat, he had the power sheet, you know, always washing the doors or whatever, like, you know, like, and other things. And she was laughing at him. She was like, tell me why this dude he took the knife. They were at this nice restaurant. He took the knife, he put it in his lap and all that. And, like, she was laughing at him and was like, you know, like, you don't have to be a gangster, and, you know, but he's looking.
You never know.
She doesn't realize that this guy's traumatized. He's killed people. He's seen his friends, and it's also a very traumatic thing to kill people. It's extremely traumatic to kill people. So you believe it's a, you know, you believe that the people that you kill, like, that their families has found some way to get you, and even though it's completely irrational, even though you could be, you know, completely kitted out or whatever, and they would have no way of knowing it was you. You believe that, you know, it's a. So what my point is like, now you got these people triggered, and I always toe the line between, okay, are they really triggered, or are they just playing into, like, there are people who are just playing into stuff.
Oh my word, yeah.
You know, on the right and the left.
Well, he said, and now it's trendy to be triggered and pretend you're a victim.
Right. Like, Christians are really doing that right now. Like, the whole mask thing that I put up on Middle America. If you want to see, like, triggered people, there's a whole bunch of triggered Christians on there talking about how the government is persecuting them and all the rest of it. When the government put little dots, the government made little dots on the ground for you to stand on and all that. Yeah. But somehow you're getting and it blew up into this big thing at like 500,000 views on the thing, and all these crazy Christians were talking about they were being persecuted. It's like, what are you talking about?
It's because that narrative is already floating around that the government is, like, behind all this COVID stuff. The government is just trying to shut down public worship, so they don't want Christians to get together and worship together. Right. So because of that, they're making this giant thing about COVID and wearing masks, and now you can't gather in big groups. It's like, no, it's not. But
there's not really a bigger
your religion. Group. It's really about COVID.
Yeah, there's not really a bigger group of false persecuted people than evangelical Christians in America. I mean, these people think that, and that's our team. Yeah. So, but these people really believe that they're being persecuted if, like, people don't say Merry Christmas or whatever. It's like, why should they say Merry Christmas if they're not on our team? Like,
the other thing
why is that? And then, like, Happy Holidays is literally, they think it's persecution.
Yeah, but the roots of Christmas is not all about Jesus' birth anyway.
Right.
it's all pagan roots, and it was something else, and they turned it into this, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, Constantine, and
it wasn't when Jesus was really born.
Pretty brilliant move. Jesus was born on September 11th. I fully believe it. But no, yeah. I mean, I get you. Yeah, and especially Christmas now in America, it's just a capitalist. It's just another capitalist money grab.
Yeah.
And so but yeah. It's true. I'm glad he called that out because it's true. We've experienced some conflict for being a Christian, but not a whole lot. I mean, people, if we told people, they'd probably go, "What? You went head to head with the blah blah blah, the AG and the chief of police and blah blah blah." It's like, yeah, but my life did not change at all. One of my friends is one of these Second Amendment Christians, and so we were getting death threats and stuff. So he was posted out. He had his he had his rifle ready to go. You know what I mean? But that was the first time in his life had ever been threatened. You know what I mean? You come up in the hood, and the guy's from the suburbs, so I understood it. You know what I mean? But I was like, bro, nobody's gonna touch you, man. You're good. Relax. But
did he ever put that down, or did he always feel it was necessary?
He always kind of had it, but he basically said he was going to go to the taser because I was you know how I am. I'm very big on the we shouldn't be killing people thing. So he went with a taser or whatever. But I wouldn't even people would say all types of craziness to me. I just didn't count that as persecution. So were we being persecuted when we're in the hood and people were threatening our lives too? That's just what happens. It's not persecution is what's happening to the Muslims in China, where these women are getting raped and all this other shit. If the Chinese government would go and tell Chinese Muslims hey, you can worship here in these dots, and we on our own dime will tell you where you can go and all that. The Chinese Muslims would not call that persecution.
No.
So yeah, it's crazy when Christians in America talk about how persecuted they are. It's bananas. It's unbelievable. And we're saying this as people who, if we told people the shit that we went through for the last 3 years with the government, they would be holy shit, you guys are. But our lives didn't change at all.
Right.
At all. You know what I mean? That's why it's not even mentionable, because nothing happened to you.
Well,
Nothing happened to you. Get better problems, I swear to God y'all want them. But can we talk about that? About the abortion thing? Sorry, tell me how this works. Bacteria is life on Mars, but a heartbeat isn't life on Earth? It's true.
Weird. He says weird. I just love the way that he went about this.
Every time I talk about abortion, every single time, and I always need a foil. And one of my bandmates was most recently a foil. He came on and abortion is completely unjustifiable. It's impossible to justify in an actual exchange of ideas. And so my friend fell right into the trap. And of course, as always happens, people go, "Holy shit, I really need to rethink this now." Which happened last time I was on the Atheist Debate Show. The host was like, "I gotta rethink this," and then at the end he was like, "Nope, I'm out." Because, especially within the atheist community, because there's such a primer on science, and so when you talk about how scientifically speaking there is no controversy among embryologists that even from the moment of conception, it's a completely separate organism, unlike sperm and egg. Once you get past that, and people who are fair-minded and scientifically minded, there's no way they can justify it. Because if you're going with the Sam Harris, well-being stuff, then there's no way you can reconcile advocating for killing defenseless human beings and then say that you hold well-being and empathy as your moral compass. It's impossible. So you're always going to get those hardcore people who, just follow along with the zeitgeist and say, "Oh yeah, I know they're human beings, but we can still kill them."
Yep.
And people who try to complicate an issue that's very, 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 very basic. But when people are watching that happen, people are like, "Holy shit, I don't want to be on that team." What the hell?
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you get people be like, "Oh, you're religious, blah blah blah." It's like, no, like, it was like, even in that other show, I'm like, I wasn't quoting the Bible, I was quoting embryologist from Princeton University.
Right.
Like,
this is not about our religion.
That's just a defense mechanism that they use to try to justify themselves. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
But they're necessary. Like, that's what I tell people like, yo, how do you do that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, people like that are necessary so that they can provide the antithesis. Just stay calm and continue to tell the truth and continue to state the facts. Like, for example, I was talking about states that don't have gestational limits, so you can kill a 9-month-old. And somebody in the chat room was saying, that's a lie.
It's not.
So I went to drherm.com and I put it out there and I showed you'll kill your child with fetal anomaly, the most common one being having Down syndrome. You can have your 9-month-old child, we'll put the links in the description if you don't believe me, you can have your 9-month-old child dissected alive because he's committed the crime of having trisomy 21 or Down syndrome. He literally, it's up there. And people, so it's stuff like that where people go, oh, if you're having an abortion past 20 weeks, it's only because of the life of the mother. Like, people are brainwashed with this propaganda. And so if you just remain calm and explain to people, no, that's a lie. That's another lie. That's another lie. No, we're killing these kids at 24, 26 weeks. 99% of the time because of economic reasons, full stop. Those are facts. That's a Guttmacher Institute, who's a reporting arm for Planned Parenthood.
It's just, we're always being deceived by so many different groups of people that you would think that any information you have, especially something as important as the life of children, that you would say, maybe what I'm hearing is not actually the facts. Maybe I should look into that.
Yeah.
So when you bring those facts out, some people...
You just have to stay calm. And you just have to show people that's a lie, that's a lie, that's a lie.
It's too emotional for me to stay calm.
And, well, yeah, no, I know where you're coming from for sure. But people are really, I mean, there's anarchist groups that are pro-life now. There's atheist groups that are pro-life now. Like, back in the day, we made it a religious issue.
Yeah.
But I think the new batch of pro-lifers are just dealing with the science and dealing with the numbers and dealing with the facts. Like, Guttmacher Institute, again, they posted a document that says, the reasons for late-term abortions are not life of the mother. That's not the primary reason. And so, like, this is Guttmacher saying that.
Yeah.
And so, and that's why you're not going to get a lot of people that are like, oh yeah, let's have a moderated debate on abortion, because it's literally impossible to defend. It's impossible to defend. So, like, and he's talking about it like, I just saw it yesterday. Well, last week they produced this thing like there was some sort of bacteria, whatever, that they found on Mars. So there was like this giant news. I think it's called phosphine or something like that. I'm not sure. And it was like this giant news, life on Mars. But then the fusion.
I literally never thought of that
generates
argument.
That generates its own DNA signature separate from the mother. That's the same thing as the mother. Like, it's completely on science. There's no way to do it. That's why that abortion. I mean, the guy's horrible. I mean, he's obviously inhabited by many demons. But the guy said something about fetus or whatever, and he's like, well, these are kind of like babies, because the guy was doing like very late term abortions. And or fetuses, and the guy, the abortionist, was like, oh no, it's babies. He's like, I don't play around, it's babies, we're killing babies, but so what? And so it's like, yeah, that guy, okay, like, he knows what he's doing. And here, it's 2020, like, that type of ignorance, like, it's impossible. But yeah, it's a very, very good argument, and there's really no response to it. This guy can make a song in his basement and completely deconstruct the entire.
Like, it's funny because he's wearing his suit, but then he's got like his eyes are all black, and he's got these tattoos all over his face and braids in his hair like that. Like, he doesn't look like somebody that you would take seriously, but he's saying some pretty serious stuff. Like, so he's bringing across some pretty good points. Then he goes,
I'm a hater because I can't relate to gay pride. Call me homophobic because I don't want to date guys. I haven't really heard that. I've never heard anybody in the LGBT community say that if you...
I've never met anyone personally.
Don't want to date guys that you're homophobic.
I haven't heard people say it personally, but I have heard talk on different like shows and stuff where they'll say... here's what I have. Somebody that's trans.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard if you... Well,
but I haven't met anybody that said that.
Well, we've got a couple folks in our trans community. I've never heard anybody say that.
That's what I'm saying.
Any trans people say that. I think And I was watching a political commentary show, and he was talking about there are serious questions that need to be asked. And I'm sorry,
what do you mean?
And I don't care, but there's like, okay, so for example, women's sports. So there's that whole lawsuit that happened with that.
I think
those
ridiculous.
Those girls who, you know, she was about to get a full ride scholarship that she ranked in like the top 5 or whatever, and then you had these 2 trans athletes that and they hadn't even like completely until they transitioned or whatever. They were able to compete in the women's division and obviously blew them all away. Like,
yeah.
You know, and it's like people talk about the difference, but I think it's like between sex and gender. I think is a dichotomy. Like your biological sex is male or female, and that's objective, but your gender is something that's subjective that you can, you know, flow in and out of or whatever. And so it's like, even from that perspective, you can still be a supporter of trans people and say, okay, well, if we say that sex is objective, that means that there are certain advantages that you're going to have as a biological male sexually over biological females, which is why we have, and you know,
bone density is different. There's so many.
Yeah, and recovery, like there's a lot, like for like, you know, we had this big kind of joke on the fireside one time because somebody said that, you know, if you get a girl into jujitsu, that she'd be able to beat up a man, and I said, listen, man, like, no, she wouldn't. There's a reason that there's a women's division in the UFC. Like, there's a reason they won't let women fight men. Like,
right.
So I think that is a valid discussion to have.
Yeah.
And I think you have to have that type of a discussion because there's no way that I'm ever gonna say, oh yeah, those two that were running. Yeah, like that girl's on the same exact. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, that's insane. So, but if you say something like that, people are automatically going to call you whatever phobic, yada yada yada. You know,
it's just common sense.
Yeah, it's just
common sense.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's obvious common sense. You know what I mean? Like,
there's a reason we had a male and female division to begin with.
Well, yeah.
And if you're born biologically a male.
Yeah.
To say that you should be able to compete against female. I mean, they're absolutely right. Like, it will make it so that way a biological female is not going to be able to compete against a biological male. That's why when they're in there, they're winning. It's like...
Facts.
Yeah. And I don't have, like, you know, I don't have any, like, ill will or bad feelings towards, you know, transgender people or anybody in the LGBTQ, you know, I think it's longer now, community. But I do think that, I don't think that people should be pressured into dating them. I think that that's wrong too. I think that
again,
we all have preferences as to what we're interested in. I mean, if you look at the gay male and he wants to be gay, well, he doesn't want to date the female. He wants to date a male. So he should be able to do that, you know, like, what? You haven't heard what?
I have heard a lot. I have heard it online that a lot of people say that, like, you're transphobic if you won't date somebody who identifies as a whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't heard anybody in our community say
that's what I said from the beginning.
Yeah. So
I've never met anybody. So you don't know if it's like, again, is it like one of these propaganda things where they're putting it out there to make people be like more like, oh, with trans people, like, how could they think that?
Right.
Because I remember when I first found out about people being gay and like the way that it was kind of presented by the people around me, it was like, oh my gosh, she's gay, like she could have like a crush on you and like blah blah blah, and like there was all this like weirdness around it. And like I remember sitting down and being like, well, I remember talking to, I think, my mom about it and being like, just because she's gay doesn't mean that she wants to date her family members or even if she wasn't related, like, doesn't mean that she's even interested in me. So why is everybody freaking out, you know?
Yeah. And some of it was just like ridiculous, like the was it the rugby one, and like the person had a clear physical advantage, like they were like
when the girl got her eye collapsed in.
Well, yeah, the Fallon Fox thing where she broke the girl's eye socket. So like that, like I'm all for the acceptance and stuff, but we gotta figure this shit out.
Yeah.
We gotta come to the table. And as long as people are throwing out that phobic thing to try to shut people up, then, you know, we're never gonna get where we get to. And I think, like, we have to learn the lesson from the 2016 election. When you make it impossible for people to voice their contrary opinions in the public square, they're going to go along with you in public because they don't want to get excised from the community. But then when it's time to actually do something significant like vote, they're going to vote what they really felt the entire time.
Yeah.
And if people don't realize that, then it would be like if you had a Trump person who was like a Trump person, but you called him a racist, sexist, blah, blah, blah. Like, it still works to this day. Like, everybody who voted for Trump was racist. It's like 28% of the people that voted for Trump voted for Obama twice. Like,
yeah.
So if you put that out there, it's like, okay, so now you make it so that this person will never admit to voting for Trump. And then now they're gonna go and they're gonna resentfully vote for him this time because you've made it so that they are not allowed to express themselves in the public sphere. Whereas the other side of it is, if you let them talk, that's why I love it. Well, okay, let's talk about it. We'll talk about anything. Because if it's a bad idea, it will expose itself as a bad idea.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm a big free speech guy. Although we've got a guy in our community that I'm about to ban because he's perpetuating this COVID is a hoax nonsense, and you know, there's lines for everything. So, SN, man, control yourself with this nonsense. I love you, but you're pushing me to my limits.
Then it was talking about
Why are you
the straws.
So stupid.
No more plastic straws and paper. Just paper straws and wrapped in plastic. Congratulations, he says. I like his personality. I like the way that he brings it across.
Well, when he was
it's not the same thing because if you have a paper straw in plastic, you're losing
I just
a
think
lot
that's
less
just a
plastic.
stupid. I just think it's an idiotic solution to the problem.
Yeah.
Like, sorry. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. Like, there's a clear physiological advantage there. Like,
yeah.
It's handball. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Yeah.
But that voting thing is interesting because that's one of the big things that did Bernie in, is that you had all these kids, all these millennials who could vote for the first time, were doing all this Facebook, Instagram, Twitter warrior stuff, but when it was time to vote, they did not show up. They didn't show up. Young people, they don't. But then it's the same thing like with the Women's March, with the pussy hats and whatever. It's like, where the hell were you guys a couple days before? Like, y'all, you guys, you broads, you stayed home. You stayed home. You know, and now you're out here in your pussy hat. It's like they didn't even realize the irony of how silly they were. In my opinion, the whole thing looked silly. It's like, where the hell were you guys? If you guys showed up, you know, in all the states that Hillary lost, then maybe you'd be in a different situation.
For sure.
Get rid of problems. I swear to God, y'all want them. Yeah. I think it's true. Like, there are people that want, like for example, the pro-life law. You know, I know for a fact that there have been pro-life organizations that have blocked abolitionist bills because the Republican Party needs abortion to always be an issue, so that at the very least they can always pull that out of the back pocket and say, hey, you don't want those guys are for abortion. So that's just one example of how people absolutely want certain social issues to continue, because then they would actually have to validate their existence as a political entity. So I like the song. He went after everybody. I appreciated it.
It was perfect.
Appreciate it a lot.
It was an 11 for me. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I'm going to give it a 9.5. 11. Good
It's
Lord.
an 11. It was funny. I really like to be entertained, and he just...
It was really catchy, though. Why are you so stupid?
I just thoroughly enjoyed it, start to finish.
Some of y'all.
And he made me laugh on some of the stuff.
Some of y'all are dumb as hell. I ain't gonna lie. All right, there you go. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Gone.
Hi, I'm praying praying that the world changes soon. Can get a doobie on a plane, but there's Uzis in our schools. Every dude who touched a boob or a booty getting me tooed. What you expect from the kids who went to Hooters after school? We're all triggered and defensive, we're all racist and we're sexist. We all grew up watching South Park. How are we offended? Now being fat is beautiful? Name a thing that you can't do. Jumping jacks, run a mile, live past 42. Man, it used to be cool to just flip a bird to the system, and now it's trendy to be triggered and pretend you're a victim. It's my race, it's my weight, it's because I'm a Christian. I hate the internet and anyone who has an opinion. And everybody angry if you say white. K, fine. Pass me the brush and I'll paint my face to the shades right. Let's talk about abortion. Sorry, tell me how this works. Bacteria is life on Mars, but a heartbeat isn't life on Earth? Weird.
Life's so stupid. Why are y'all so stupid? Get better problems, I swear to God that y'all want them. Y'all so dumb. People so stupid. People so dumb. People so boo-hoo. Wah. Get better issues, we're gonna run out of tissues, it's so dumb.
I'm a hater cause I can't relate to gay pride. Call me homophobic because I don't wanna date guys. K-tight. I for one am not surprised the world declined along the way. Give trophies to children for losing just cause they decide to play. We exercise our right to vote and hate the politicians. Ay, this is a democracy, it's partly your decision. Ay, this is weird, feels like this a different year. If I identify as a female, then when my balls and penis disappear. Children want a gender switch and hating men is feminist. Depression and anxiety are trendy, we're too sensitive. Invented 80 genders, mad the world is not accepting it. Then gave them more attention than normal women and men can get. What a contradiction, being human is so tragic. Focus on minorities, ignoring all the masses. Hallelujah, everyone. Activism saved the planet. No more plastic straws and paper, just paper straws wrapped in plastic. Congratulations.
Life's so stupid. Why are y'all so stupid? Get better problems, I swear to God that y'all want them. Y'all so dumb. People so stupid. People so dumb. People so boo-hoo. Wah. Get better issues, we're gonna run out of tissues, it's so dumb.
Look, I get it, it's like the world is going crazy. Seems like a school shooting happens almost daily. The racism, rape culture, hatred that we're facing is way too ingrained for our hashtags to change it. We've become so lazy and complacent, afraid of our generation. We think activism's Instagramming memes and complaining. It's a problem when there's actually actions you could be taking, but you're triggered so you just cry like a baby.
Life's so stupid. Why are y'all so stupid? Get better problems.